So let's move on to our next story, and that is, well, it's one. It comes from the curiously named History Channel.
Um,
And I say
or as
curiously
I would
named,
call it, the increasingly satirically named History
indeed,
Channel.
satirically named History Channel, and that is there was a program that they put out. I think it was earlier this month, wasn't it?
It was.
Amelia Earhart, the Lost Evidence. Now, the description here says former FBI official Sean Henry investigates new shocking evidence that aviator Earhart, was captured. That's it. It was Amelia Hart all along. Sorry, Amelia Earhart was captured by the Japanese military, including a photograph that purports to show Earhart and navigator Fred Noonan alive after their disappearance. Evidence includes documents containing new information indicating that the US government knew that she was in custody of a foreign power and may have even covered it up. Now, you took particular interest in this one, so can you? Is it true? Have we finally found the true fate of Amelia Earhart?
What do you think?
No.
No. No. Um, for people that aren't familiar with this is a story that has been going on since Amelia Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan disappeared on a round the world flight in 1937. So this year is the 80th anniversary of the disappearance.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, the program was broadcast on almost the exact anniversary of the disappearance. Basically, Earhart and Noonan were flying a twin-engine Lockheed Electra, which was a state-of-the-art aircraft at the time, from New Guinea to a small island called Howland Island in the Pacific, which was going to be the staging post to return to Hawaii and then to California. It was the last leg of a round the world flight, and the aircraft took off normally. There was radio contact between Earhart and Noonan and a US Coast Guard cutter called the Itasca, which had been put at Howland to provide basically a radio beacon to see them home, because it was a very small island in a very big ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And towards the end of the flight, the radio contact became more intermittent. It became slightly disturbing. They reported that they could. At one stage, Earhart says that they should be overhead, but they can't see you. The radio direction finding appears not to have worked properly. And the upshot was Earhart and Noonan disappeared. The US Navy mounted the largest search that had ever been for a missing aircraft up to that time, including one of its brand new aircraft carriers, the full complement of aircraft flying search patterns. But nothing was ever found. Somebody famous disappears, and Amelia Earhart was world famous. She was an icon of early aviation. She was an icon for feminists as well, as a woman in what then still very much a male world. And her activities as an aviator were very high profile at the time. It was front page news all over the world. So when somebody like that disappears, then immediately the vacuum of information is filled by stories that maybe other things may have gone on.
Mm-hmm.
The favourite story has been that, among conspiracy theorists, has been, as you said, that either accidentally or deliberately, as part of a secret mission on behalf of the American government, Earhart and Noonan were captured by the Japanese. The aircraft came down in Japanese-held territory, and the Japanese were building ports and airports in anticipation of a Pacific War at this period. That they were captured by the Japanese, held on at one stage on the island of Saipan, and according to one version were either executed soon after they were caught or at some point during World War II, or according to another conspiracy theory, Amelia Earhart actually survived and was returned to America at the end of World War II, but because what had happened was so embarrassing to the American government, she was given a new identity and the whole thing was covered up. That's the conspiracy theory.
Right.
Now, people have been trying to prove this ever since, and in fact, there's yet another version, an organisation called Tiger, the International Group for
Sorry, this is all
Historic
getting a bit Monty Python and the
it
people.
It's the good or the sandal, you know. It's which version do you believe? Which version do you follow? Because another group called Tiger, the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery, have been looking for years at an island called Nikomororo, where they believe that the aircraft came down and that Earhart and Noonan probably died of thirst or starvation, waiting for a rescue that never came.
Right.
And in fact, their expedition is out there. I think they're still out there at the moment. They've certainly, you know, every year they head for the South Pacific, usually paid for by National Geographic, and other donors. So you know, whatever happens, people get the chance to go out and do some research in the South Pacific. Even if they don't find any hard evidence. So, you know, so there are these rival theories in play anyway. What the History Channel did was basically rehash they were captured by the Japanese story with an added photograph. One of their researchers found a photograph in the US National Archive which appeared to show a European woman and a European man who appeared to have some resemblance to Earhart and Noonan on a jetty in the Pacific at the right period, and even there may even have been an aircraft in the background on a barge, which looked a little bit like the Lockheed Electra. And they produced this anniversary special on the History Channel. There was one thing wrong with the photograph. It was actually taken 2 years before they disappeared.
Oh, okay.
This was basically the program was broadcast, and as inevitably happens, I think other researchers looked and say, "Okay, I'll see if I can stand this up." And a Japanese military historian and blogger called Koto Yamano basically did a Google search for similar images, and he reckons within about half an hour he'd actually come up with the same photograph that was actually published in the book in Japan in 1935. Now, and that work was replicated by somebody else. So basically, the whole that core image, and that image was used because it's an image that was used by the History Channel as the pre-publicity for the program. It appeared in the Mail, it appeared in the Guardian, and various other news outlets all over the world. And it was basically somebody didn't do their due diligence, or they just didn't care. Take a pick.
Yeah. Oh no, there you go. I can see them. Yeah, I got the pictures here. Yeah. See, this is. I think this really acts as a bit of a case study of one of the reasons why sometimes we get a bee in our bonnets, don't we? Not just us, but I think the archaeological community, because, as you say, at best this was a mistake. At worst, this is simply speculative, cynical media to coincide with an anniversary.
The word we're looking for is clickbait.
Clickbait is the word. But also, as well, at the same time, there are also people out there who genuinely believe that this counts, that this sort of stuff. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm not talking about the conspiracy theorists. I'm talking about the people who just enjoy consuming this material, and they kind of go, "Oh, it's just entertainment. It's fine," and they just keep on, nom, 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 you know. And there'll be something about Nazi gold next month, and there'll be something about Spitfires in Burma next month, and there'll be
Spitfires in Burma. Spitfires in Burma.
Apparently, that might.
I don't know anything about that. Not heard that one before.
No, of course not. And it's for me. It's not even that I want to go into people's homes and, you know, change the channel. It's more a case of I just feel it's such a shame, because there are so many legitimate, proper stories out there that aren't being twisted and manipulated, that don't require a TV presenter with a torch and a scarf on in a dark tunnel to present, that are genuinely exciting and interesting. And yet this is the stuff that keeps on getting production money. And frankly, this is the stuff that the History Channel keeps on producing. And as you say, it's not history. It is satire, and it's just disappointing. I can't even bring myself to get particularly annoyed about this. It's more just, it feels as though everyone's kind of being done a slight disservice, I think. And also, frankly, as well, if it's interesting how I wonder what is the margin of when this sort of stuff becomes acceptable. In so much as, if we did a similar, or if someone did a similar sort of job, hatcheted research on a well-known World War II disaster, or something, something sooner, something more recent in time, I can't imagine it would be let go. But because it's just on that cusp of living memory, that somehow it's legitimate fodder for entertainment. The Titanic entered that, I think, a little bit before James Cameron's film came out, really, in terms of and we're not that far off. Therefore, starting to see some really unfortunate programs linked with, eventually, for example, more recent tragedies from within my lifetime, for example, and it kind of feels a bit crass as well. Again, I'm not trying to be overly moralistic here. There is room for edutainment and entertainment in this stuff, but here we've just got this woman. It's possible that these two people died a very unfortunate death, and this is what's made of it.
Yeah, I think that's the point. It's. I remember you mentioned Titanic, and I remember certainly the arguments I've had with people, in fact, members of the family, that although James Cameron's Titanic is a spectacle, because he fictionalized it, it's actually a lesser experience than watching the black and white film Night to Remember that was based on Waterlord's original
the account,
from the 1950s. Mm-hmm. In a sense, that's a much more visceral, moving experience, because it was about the real experiences of named characters, and not, wonderful as they are, Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet playing two people who never existed on that ship at that time. And I think when it comes to something like the Earhart mystery, what I'm really sad about is two things. One is that very bright, very intelligent people who've often got track records, and some of them well qualified in research and historians and so on, will go along with this stuff because it pays it provides a paycheck at the end, and that betokens, I think, people who've got, okay, we all need to earn a living, but at the same time, do we have respect for what we do? I know. I think anybody who's ever worked on a television program has found themselves at some point being asked to do something. They said, actually, no, I can't do that. No, I won't do that. No, I won't say that. I know I certainly have.
And I mean, in my case, not so much on a TV program, but certainly, for example, I've been in newspaper shoots as an archaeologist, and they've been saying, "Oh, can you just hold that lamp like this, or maybe do that with a trowel or something?" And I'm knowing full well that, I mean, there's nothing major. They're not asking me to to pick up a puppeteer a skull or something, but I know full well that actually doing that is inauthentic, and also actually that frankly, if nothing else, my colleagues will laugh at me, kind of thing. Yeah. So but as you say, sometimes in the name of narrative, you can be asked to do things, and I imagine what you're talking about is slightly different from simply reenacting something that they missed off camera, as it were. Sometimes they can be forging the narrative, can't they?
The thing I've always done, and I've not made that many TV programs, but a couple of times, and one time in particular, when I was in a position to say, this is how it's going to be, you want to shoot this, you do it this way, or you don't shoot it, was we were saying that we would, if necessary, if the camera did miss something, if the A camera or the B camera didn't get the shot, we would recreate, but we'd only recreate something that had happened. We wouldn't do something that hadn't. We wouldn't create something. We wouldn't fictionalize the event
or embellish,
or embellish the event, absolutely, or pretend we had more knowledge than we actually had. No. And so that's I think everybody will draw their own line, but something like like that, to build a program around a piece of evidence that is so easily debunked shows that either people weren't doing their job properly, which I don't believe, or they didn't want to do their job properly, which I'm more inclined to believe, because they wanted the narrative hook. They didn't care if it was a fake or not. If it got the program made and got the program out there and got the advertising revenue and whatever, that's all that mattered. Bottom line, that's how television works.
Yeah, well, in that sense, they're fulfilling a synopsis which has already been written.
Yeah.
So they're meeting that for the time slot, and I suppose a kind of related thought is that actually, in some ways, this is the History Channel and what they often do, and for example, the allure of, for example, even ancient aliens. In some respects, it's the most human form of history.
Yeah.
If you so to me, because if you look at, for example, Herodotus, the father of history, the stuff that man wrote is astonishing.
News.
It is fake news.
Alternative facts.
Deeply alternative facts, definitely based on hearsay. He'd go down to the port and say, "So, have you ever been in that direction?" They go, "Oh, yes. Well, we've heard that, that there are flying elephants, and what's an elephant?" Oh, yeah. But the point is that in some respect you can completely understand why this sort of history is so exciting and so enticing, because no one likes the question mark. People like an answer, and in the case of Herodotus, he would give you an answer as to what's over the horizon. Yeah. But it just wasn't accurate. That's not so. That in some respects, it's the oldest form of history. But we should really, by now, 3,000 years later, have moved beyond that, shouldn't we?
I think also there's another thing is that, and I don't want to lay the blame entirely on at the feet of TV execs and producers and directors who want to, all they want to do is make a program which sells and tells a story and engages an audience. Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that.
A product.
More archaeologists ought to care about those sorts of things, actually, because then if more archaeologists told exciting stories in an exciting way, mm-hmm. then this wouldn't happen so much.
No, exactly. And also, frankly, if they could adequately explain why it is that they are so passionate about the thing that they're passionate about.
Yeah.
And I think all too often archaeologists, they struggle, especially when it comes to, if you have a meeting with someone who's going, right, we're looking, pitch me an idea, they say. Yeah. The archaeologist just starts talking about data or something instead of actually what gets them up in the morning. Anyway, this is something which I'm sure we're going to return to in the future, this sort of topic.
It's something... It's like whack-a-mole.
It is, yeah, and it's a big ass lawn, but